Hey, welcome again. This is episode number 2 of Auburn All the Time. Just very appreciative and thankful for everybody that jumped on for the first time, liking my page and subscribing to my channel. And just looking for any positive feedback, just any room that anybody think I can improve on this channel. Just drop me a comment in the comment section, and I'm always open for new suggestions, anything just to improve the channel. With that being said, we're going to jump into some basketball and probably a little football talk also, just moving forward. In basketball, this last week was a very positive week with us, with Auburn just winning, getting a road win at Mississippi State. Whenever you can get a road win in conference play to start the conference season is just very positive. Get off on the right start, and to follow that up with a hard-fought win, 4-point win over Vanderbilt at home. Vanderbilt is a much improved team on the Stackhouse. They got what I would consider two elite guards, and just with Saban Lee and Neesmith. Saban Lee, how can you stay in front of him? He's a slashing type guard. And Auburn had problems keeping him out of the paint, and they did a pretty good job on Neesmith. He averages like 20, 25, 26 points a game in overall in the season in league play. And Auburn held him down the first half. He got going, hitting some unbelievable threes in the second half. But it's still start the conference playoff with two solid wins, and with Auburn being in first place, still undefeated. They got a target on their back, so just really an uncharted territory is the job that Bruce Pearl has done. I think Auburn's won like 25 out of the last 26 games, and just there's definitely a target on their back. And this next week is the next 3 games are super critical for them moving forward with a home game against just a much improved Georgia team with a second year under Tom Crean, and they got the guard Anthony Edwards coming in. More than likely, he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. They still got Hammonds, and they got the freshman point guard Wheeler, got Crum, I think the guard that comes off the bench. They're sort of like Auburn in a way. They're a slashing team, mostly guard oriented, but they drive to the basket and playing with a lot of pace of play too. So, and with them already having a quality road win over Memphis when they was ranked in the top 15, they got a lot of positive momentum in the second year, and they went back home and had a good showing against Kentucky. They lost in the second half, but I think they actually had the lead at halftime. So you can tell Georgia's much improved. And looking back to last Saturday, that was a good road win for Auburn going against Mississippi State, who is the biggest team in the country. They got guys like Reggie, Perry, Woodard. They're a big team, and it was I think Auburn started off real slow. It was like 17-6 or 17-9 at one point, and got going right there at the end of the first half, going into the second. Javon McCormick had like 28 points, his highest scoring game of his career. He was able to get in the lane and finish around the basket and actually shoot free throws well to help close that game out. And going into that game, I think he's right 40% from free throw line, so he's definitely got to improve that with the ball being in his hands so much. So, but it was a hard-fought win, and like I said, I think Mississippi State actually they're like one of the best rebounding teams in the conference. They're like +9, +10, and it was just they out-rebounded over 44-42. So Auburn actually held their own on the backboard. That was a big thing for them, big crucial stat in the game, because they really didn't. Auburn's really not shooting the ball well from the outside. They're nowhere near as efficient as they were last year with Brown and Harper. So, with that being said, they do things better overall as a team as far as rebounding and defense to make up for it. And they're undefeated somehow, some way. They've had some close calls. The road win at South Alabama, at home against NC State, in Birmingham against St. Louis. They've had several close calls, but I think just with the 5 seniors they got, even though they're mostly all 5 new starters this year, they played a lot last year, and it's like they got experience on how to win. So that's big, being able to close games out, because in the SEC this year, I think it's a lot of parity. Every time everybody wants to talk about the SEC basketball, it always has been, always will be. It's Kentucky and everybody else. Everybody bases it on what Kentucky, how is Kentucky. That's how the SEC is going to be. But I don't know, under Pearl these last couple of years, you can't necessarily say that, because Auburn's kind of carried the SEC with them going to the Final Four last year, and 2 years ago winning the SEC regular season title, and last year winning the tournament title. Auburn's far as carrying the banner for the SEC. I know they'll never be Kentucky in basketball, but what Pearl done is just really unprecedented. Really, I mean, but it's like it is in conference play. You got to hold serve at home and try to steal a few on the road because I mean it's so critical because I think the SEC has there's a lot of parity in there. It's just like you look at what Nate Oates is doing at Alabama, they're much improved. Tom Crean at Georgia, they're much improved. That's not even counting you're gonna get to Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida. All them teams are tournament type teams. Even Mississippi State, even though they're off to an 0-2 league start, they got the pieces to be a handful down the stretch. I think even Arkansas, they only have two losses overall. So the SEC from top to bottom is very competitive this year, and whoever can hold serve at home has a great chance to win the SEC this year. It's very competitive from top to bottom. I don't really see no one you can say is just a for sure win right now based on it's early in the season and everybody's only played 1 or 2 conference games. But so far, it's like, I mean, you got to win at home. And who can do that and hold serve and, like I said, still 1 or 2 in a row, you'll be in good shape. And with that being said, Auburn's got two major road games coming up this next week at Tuscaloosa against Alabama, then next Saturday against Florida. And be nice to go 2-0 and get a good strong lead going into the start conference play. But it's gonna be tough. Auburn and going to Tuscaloosa in Florida. I mean, Auburn hadn't won at either place often that I can even remember. And you look at what Alabama's got going on with Nate Oates, they're shooting threes and playing with an unbelievable pace. They're sort of like Auburn from last year, the way they play. And I mean, they still got Kyra Lewis and John Petty. Seems like John Petty's been there a long time, but he's actually starting to play up to that 5-star billing that he had coming out of Huntsville. And it's like he's shooting, I know he's shooting, if not better than 50% from the three-point line, around 50%. So they got their hands full. And it's just be a key matchup who they put on him because Auburn's best defender is a true freshman, Isaac Okoro, and I don't know if you want to put a true freshman on him in that setting to get him in foul trouble because actually Okoro's been Auburn's best player in conference play so far. And I think he had a career high 20 plus points this past Wednesday night against Vanderbilt. And if you look at some of the early mock drafts, he's all the way up, according to SB Nation. I don't know how credible they are, but they had him number 4 overall. So he's definitely one of the top freshmen in the country and probably the SEC Freshman of the Year at this point. So they got his hands full. Then followed it up with a trip to Gainesville, a place I know Auburn hadn't won at in a while. Several times Auburn's had pretty good chances down there, but for some reason they just can't get over the hump down there. And Auburn had their hands full, especially down low with Blackshear. The Blackshear-Austin Wiley matchup next Saturday go a long way, and how that one turns out. We'll just see. It's early, a lot of basketball to be played, and got Georgia Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, so hopefully find a way to win that one. It'd be nice being 3-0 and a chance to move up in the rankings going into next week with them 2 crucial road games. So it ought to be a fun week coming up in basketball, regardless of how everything turns out this next week. And just take a quick look at talk about football for a minute. Finally got rid of either retire, step down, or just let go the J.B. Grimes offensive line coach. I know that's been a real sticking point for Auburn fans. It's not the fact that he's not a good coach, but I think he knows the game. He's an older guy. I think he's around 64 years old, and it's just the fact that you got to have somebody in there because I don't think he don't want to do the work on the recruiting trail. You got to be able to recruit these young high school guys, and I just don't know how well a 64-year-old guy can relate to 17, 18-year-old kids. So hopefully Auburn can get at least a guy in there. The main thing, you got to be able to recruit. It's good about coaching and teaching and all that's fine, but you got to be able to recruit too. And I think they're looking at Colorado's offensive line coach. He's there on the Mel Tucker right now. Of course, Mel Tucker being the defensive coordinator at Georgia before he got a head coaching job. So and I think he was actually the offensive line coach was actually with Larry Fedora for 11 or 12 years when he was at Southern Miss in North Carolina. So he's definitely got some ties to the South. I can remember Auburn going head to head with him on the recruiting trail for some guys out of South Florida before, and I think he pretty much beat Auburn it was like 2 or 3 different guys. I think he beat Auburn for all of them. So he can I think he can recruit, and he's definitely a good teacher. I think that he's actually has experience here in the state because I actually think his second coaching job, he was at Alabama State too. So we'll see. I mean, I think Auburn needs to have an offensive line coach in place. They're actually looking at some other guys too. The offensive line coach, Dustin Fry, I think is his name. That was at Arkansas under Chad Moore. So they're actually looking at a couple of guys, but they definitely need to have somebody in place soon because the dead period is over after this weekend, going into this final stretch of recruiting. And with us having the five-star tackle out of Georgia coming in a week before signing day, Broderick Jones, they need to have somebody there and hopefully continue to work on building that relationship because I know Gus has an in-home visit with him around the 17th of January. So hopefully, by the end, the offensive line coach and everybody can go meet him then because that's a crucial piece to this puzzle to help close out this top 10 recruiting class. Hopefully, finish strong with him, and I know they're in on that tight end out of Arizona down the stretch, Brendan Frazier, 6'7", 250-pound tight end. I think Auburn's in pretty good shape for him, and I know the number 4 junior college defensive tackle in the nation, Marquise Burks. I think he's playing junior college ball, maybe in Chicago. I think Auburn's in good shape for him, and just maintaining what they got. They got one guy that didn't sign out of the 4-star top 100 defensive end, Jay Hardy out of Tennessee. Hopefully they can go ahead and get him to sign on February because I know Tennessee's making a good push for him down the stretch too, and he's the only guy that didn't sign in the early signing period. So hopefully and prayerfully, just Auburn can hold on to him and close this recruiting class strong. So with that being said, we're going to just move forward, and I thank everybody for just watching the show and just give me comments in the comment section and just tell me where I need to improve at. And before I close out this particular show, I just want to take a quick take on the national title game. Normally I just talk about Auburn stuff, but I think it's important for college football. I mean, everybody's talking about the Clemson LSU game. Just quickly, I think it'll be a hard-fought game. I mean, I really don't think Clemson is just like getting the respect they deserve because I mean they won. They're like on a 29-30 game winning streak. I mean, it's unreal what they were doing, but I don't think they've played a team like what they're gonna see with LSU. With LSU playing in New Orleans, of course, but I mean, I just gotta until somebody actually shows me you can stop them receivers and Joe Burrow. It'll be hard for me to pick against them. But I think the point spread on the game is sort of like disrespectful towards Clemson with them being the defending national title and on that long winning streak for them to be a 6.5 point underdog, which I don't gamble, but I would look at that as a slap in the face. But I want Clemson to win, me personally, because I'm not a big SEC do it for the SEC guy. I just feel like that LSU. I mean, they're great this year, but can they maintain what they're doing? Especially when guys like Burrow and Brady eventually do leave them. How good are they actually going to be? And I think they're a little arrogant, which that's fine. I mean, you gotta have some swagger or whatever to be the kind of team you want to be, but also I think you need to remain humble too and know who you are and don't try to be something that you're not. So, but I mean, with that being said, I like LSU to win the game. I'll say like 38-35. So we'll just see what happens, and hopefully Auburn can find their place back in the West. Cause it's gonna be a lot tougher for them now with the Mississippi State hire, with Mike Leach coming in. You know he's going to put up points and stuff, and I don't know what kind of defense they're going to have, but I guarantee they're going to throw the ball and put up points, and that's not even counting what Lane Kiffin's got going at Ole Miss, which I'm sure he'll own the state of Mississippi in recruiting. So we'll see. It's sort of like, where everybody talks about the SEC West is one of the strongest, not the strongest conferences in the country, which it is, but it's different now moving forward. You've got to be able to score points in this league. It's sort of like the way the Big 12 was or is, score. You got to score points. And thankfully, I think Auburn has a solid defense, a staff defense coordinator. So if they can just maintain what they got on defense and build on the offense, truly if Chad Morris is able to get his hands on that offense and continue to develop Bo Nix for this next season, I think Auburn will be fine. They got replaced 4 stars on the offensive line, but, I mean, the guys that have been there, you looking at most of them starters were 3- and 4-year starters, and they still didn't get any push or anything. That's Auburn fans know about that. Even though they're seniors, they weren't playing like it. They had no push, no aggression, no nothing. So hopefully, with the guys Auburn signed in the junior college ranks and the guys they redshirted last year, we can get us a strong 5 offensive line because everything else is pretty much set. You got the quarterback back, all the receivers pretty much back that contributed, and that's not even counting what they got in the backfield with with Whitlow, DJ Williams, Harold Joyner, Shivers, and that's not even counting the 5-star that's coming in, Tank Bisbee, and the redshirt freshman Mark Anthony Richards from last year out of Florida. So, I mean, really ain't no excuses. Just take that next step forward, and hopefully during this spring, Chad can get his hands on the offense and continue to develop some kind of intermediate, some kind of passing game. So we'll just see what happens moving forward. So appreciate everybody watching the channel and liking, and just continue to just help me with your comments and everything that help this show get better. And I appreciate it. And until the next episode, War Eagle.